Okay, so making a decal onto an object in Blender. Alright, so I'm going to be doing this in a few ways of how you can do one of these. So I'm going to just take a cup one. One, I'm going to show it on a very simple model, just something like a box or something in Blender. And then the other is I'm going to show how to add this to a more complex model, and also how it can be used or why you would want to use this. So first thing is I'm going to make a decal. For example, I want to add the numbers 313 to the side of a tank. So what I'm going to do, let me see, I'm going to press Control or Alt R, change the rotation, get rid of those. Going to bring that to the dead center by Alt G. And then let's see, G, Z, and just drag it up there. Gonna get rid of this here, get rid of the box, the cube, and gonna go and add in a text. So let's see, 303. Gonna press 0 to go into the camera mode, scale this up. And then the other thing is over here, let's see, I'm gonna go to font, and we'll pick just a cool, something that might look cool on the side. This, I'm not really gonna use this on my current model, I'm just making it as a background, so we'll just pick something real quick. Okay, that looks like crap, but okay. Anyway, so if I go to render, come on, you can do it, you can do it, there we go. It looks a little, well, it looks blah, I mean, you can't hardly see it. If I press, let's see, if you click this off, you can basically get rid of everything. I've got it set to a hotkey, but you can see that this is going to look like crap. So let's see, I'm going to go down to here, little camera render settings, go to film and set to transparent. Now you can make that into an alpha. And then if we want to give this some color, just add a material, and I'm actually going to go down to emission and just bring the emission up on this. That's why I took out the lights. And then let's say if I wanted to say add a little bit of a black behind this, let's see, I'm just going to go take that, Shift D, I'm going to offset one of these, and just to keep things a little simple, I'm dropping it behind it, and we will get rid of one texture, add in a new texture, and change this to black. There we go. And then just hit F12, and that'll render out my image. So I'm going to go Save As, and I have a special spot for decals and what we're going to get to later. So we have 303, and save. So we have one decal that is ready to go. Now that's making the decal. Now let's add a decal onto something. So I just deleted everything in the scene, and I'm going to go back over to render settings and turn transparent off, so we're back to kind of regular bland. Now let's see here, I'm going to go and we're just going to go over a really simple how to do this. I'm going to add an icosphere, and let's see, I'll add in a sun lamp. And I have a kitty in the background that is crying for some reason. Just a moment. Alright, kitten fed, so basically, always remember to feed your kittens or they will ruin your tutorials. Anyway, so now I just added an icosphere, and how are we going to add a texture to this? So let's see, I'm going to jump over to shading, and I'm going to actually change it. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to change it over to render view so I get kind of a better view of what's going on. Add in a material. And I'm just going to change this to like green, you know, just arbitrary, just weird color. Next thing, we're going to add in a diffuse node. Now, how do you get to the shading? Well, if you hit shading, you should have this up here. If for some reason you don't have the node editor, or it's now called the shader editor, it'll be in here. So like if you, for example, on a different thing, you could just go over here, shader editor, which I think is kind of an easier name to remember, but if you are from old school Blender, they call it the node editor, which if you didn't know what the hell a node was, you were a little lost. Anyway, so let's see, we're going to add in a mix shader, and just drop this in here, and you'll notice that kind of just made it a little bit of a pale because it's mixing the green and the white together. So I'm just going to move this, make some room, and the next thing is I have the node Wrangler on. Node Wrangler is a add-on that just comes with Blender. If you go into Preferences, Wrangler, there it is. So if you hit the Control T, and to be honest, this is all I really use it for. The node Wrangler does a lot of things, but I almost never use it for that. So anyway, let's see, we'll go into Open with my decal, and I have a few things in here. So here's the 313, and if you look at it, it's going to look a little strange because we haven't unwrapped where it will be. So for example, since I have, from where I'm doing this, and this might make more sense also if I show it in UV editing. UV editor. Alright. So this box right here, if I go into edit, it shows me this. This is all of this automatically unwrapped. Now if you have a different object, like a bigger, you know, like a much more complex model, you're going to have to unwrap it yourself. And I'll show a real kind of a quick way on how to do that in a minute. But say if you want to get the 313 to just show up right there, I can go press U and then go project from view. And that just looks really strange, but let's see here. Alright, one other thing. I'm going to go input UV map. And then when you click the UV map, it should. So if I go and select all of these and scale up, it's going to start doing 303 all over the place. Now, if you only want it to do it one time, right in here, repeat, clip, and now it is only on, it's on both sides, and that's because I UV projected it through the entire model. If you don't want that, what I'm going to do is just take all of these UVs and move them off the screen, and then just select the UVs that you want. So let's say we only want it on this front of the ball, or the icosphere, and project from view, and voila. So now you've got the numbers right in the middle here, and if I were to select everything, now you can see that the rest of the icosphere is over here, and this is right over here. Okay, so this is kind of a nothing project. So let's see, I'm gonna, oh yeah, and the other thing, by the way, is right here. See how this, if I were to go like this, it'll just literally disappear. If I go this way, it turns black. That is because you need to take this alpha and plug it into the factor, and it should now be completely nice and sharp. Sharp, very sharp. So, next I'm going to do is how to do a quick UV unwrap. So I'm just going to add, let's say, just a really quick cube, and the cube is already unwrapped. We don't want that. I want to show how to unwrap this yourself. So I'm just going to extrude some faces all over the place, and now this kind of screws up the UV. You won't see it screwy, but it'll look screwy if we unwrap it as it is. So what I'm going to do is just go okay, and this looks like something like a reject from Tetris. And we're going to go mark seam. They're going to show up in kind of a bluish color, I think. And then I'm going to do, let's see, mark seam right there. And now when I go and press U and unwrap, you'll see all of those faces that I just did are going to be over here. And if I press L and then seam, I can actually see where each of these seams are. Now the only thing though is that this is basically not giving you much room to work in. So for example, you see right here, you've got a spot here that is, let's see, I'm going to rescale this and see if I unwrap it again. No, still unwrapping it the same way. Basically, you want to be able to unwrap it in a way that it actually is much easier to get a lot more stuff in. So if I add another seam right there and unwrap it again, you'll see that now it takes up more of the page here, which can basically help for like textures later on if you want to make them more, basically if you want to get more data into the, what is it called? If you're doing textures in like a texturing program or something, you might want to actually have this more filled in. One other thing that you can try is, well, this is not part of Blender, but I do have something called UV Packer, and I think UV Magic, which I think might have come with Packer, I'm not sure. But if you hit Pack, what it'll do is it just kind of recalculates and it will put things inside of each other. This thing is off of Blend, what is it called? Blender Market, I think. And basically it is very nice. But anyway, so let's say we want to have our texture only show up on here. So let's see, I'm going to add in the green material, and you'll see already the green material is mapped to the old one, so it won't work. So I'm just going to go select everything, move it off to the screen, and let's see, I'm going to hit 1 because we want to get it to be nice and center, and project from view, where to go, there it is, and you'll see that it is. And all you have to do is just kind of scale it up, and voila. Now you have 303 on something else. Now the other thing that I wanted to show is a couple other things that you can do. If I go in here, I have a picture of a tank. Now the picture of the tank will show up exactly where it is right now. is just because it is a, what do you call it? It is already a PNG. I just got this off of Google. And if you want to make the tank a little bit brighter, you can always just use a principal shader. And let's see. Actually, nope. I'm just gonna back up a bit, and we're gonna take the principal shader, plug it into the same spot. That's not where you're supposed to go. Alright, just holding Control and I think left click, and that just cuts it. And then go Control X, and that will... Okay, well, I was supposed to leave it... I don't know, I haven't used Wrangler in a while. That's one thing I can't remember a lot of Wrangler setup. But anyway, if we just plug it into here, and plug the alpha into, I believe, the alpha right here. Oh, wait a minute, no. Alpha goes in the same spot over here. And then if you want to make this a little brighter, you can just bring emission strength. Let's see here. Take the color, plug it directly into emission, I think. There we go. Now you have a sharp image on the side of something. However, this would not probably work with cycles. The only reason this works well with Eevee and not cycles is that Eevee does not put off an emission color onto another object next to it, so this is technically like a light. But if we were to go into cycles, I think if we added another object next to this, the Abrams tank there would technically, I believe, be putting off, yeah, it is putting off light. You can actually see the color of the green and where the white is. So technically this Abrams is actually a lit object now. Although this is kind of a good idea if you want to actually put headlights on something and you want to light them up without actually having to go through a lot of work of putting bulbs behind them and such. Now, there's also one other thing I wanted to show on something that is very, very useful. Is say you want to make a logo out of something like, for example, this Abrams. There's a program I brought up here, which would come in handy pretty good. It's called Inkscape. Inkscape is a free program that you can use. And if you go to, let's see, Path, I believe. Oh, wait a minute, no, first. I only use this really for one thing, and that is making these for Blender. So let's say import, I think. Let's see. Tutorial, and we're gonna get this Abrams tank. Okay, and now you have an Abrams tank. And why did we do this? Well, this is cool. You go to Trace Bitmap, and you'll see that there's this just black and white version of the tank down here. If you press OK, it will make a vector out of any image that you give it. You can actually play around with the settings here. So let's see here. You can update it. I'm not sure which one of these is, but you can see it got darker, so I'm gonna actually go minus. There we go. And now, that one, we'll just delete this one and go import. save as, and it will automatically already be having SVG, which is scalable vector graphic. And let's go to active projects, tutorial, and we'll just save our vector graphic. It'll always say drawings. Let's see, Abrams, and back to there. Why was that cool? Well, let's see, I'm gonna just delete this thing, and I'm gonna go back to modeling and import, let's see, SVG as grease pencil. Now I think SVG might be an add-on that I have in here. I think just SVG, yeah. Import, export, scalable vector graphic format. Yep. So that's an add-on, but that comes with Blender. So you're gonna import scalable vector graphic, Decal, Abrams tank, and might take it a minute. Alright, there it is. It's very small. Now one of the things is, since this is considered a curve, it is very much like if you hit edit, you can technically go in and edit these points if you want. Right now it is a little bit slow as balls, so it's going ready. I'm gonna just give it a moment. There we go. Now once we're out of this, if you don't need to, also it looks like it's screwed up on the tracks for some reason. That's fine. I mean, it's not fine. If you were gonna really do this like professionally, I would probably go back and redo that, but since this is just a tutorial, we'll just keep going. Where is convert to mesh? And now it actually is easier for Blender to deal with it because it is basically a giant mesh now. But what is nice about this is you can make logos out of just about any picture that you can get like off of Google. And this might be very helpful for something later on. Like if you want to make a logo, don't know how to do that, you can do this very quickly, and then do the same thing of, let's see, add camera. Just kind of Control-Alt-0 to zero out the camera, render, and go under, where is it? Film, transparent, and then let's say there we go. We have this nice blarg logo. But if you were to save that out, you could now use this as a texture on the side of an object now. So the next thing I wanted to go into was how can you use this, or where this comes in handy. So where this comes in useful is I'm going to just close this blender because I've actually got a few blenders open on here. This is where I got the tank. And so let's see here. So here we have this tank model I did, so T72A. The textures on this are done in Substance Painter. Let's see. So this is a rather complex model compared to like the last things that I was doing a minute ago. And actually this one already, let's see, this one already has a number on the side of it, and I believe this number right here is directly added into the textures. So let's see, yeah, each one of these parts on the tank is a different texture that I did in Substance Painter. So in this case, this already has the number just built into it, but let's see, I'm just going to pick a spot on the tank. So let's say I just remove, I'm just pressing L, normal. And I'm just going to delete those vertices. We'll convert this into a T72 Ural. So let's say I want to get that 303 on the side of this turret. Here's where it can be a little bit tricky. So one of the things is under UV map, you've got a few right here, and Blender has a finite amount of these maps that you can put in. I'm not really sure why, like UV map in this case is probably the entire tank. Log is what I like to call the lucky log, which is for some reason almost every Russian tank from like the 80s had this log on the back, and I think it's just for getting you out of the mud. I call it a lucky log. And then you've got, I'm not even sure what this one is, end. Doesn't really matter, but I want to make a new one and put Decal. And now we're going to do the same thing we did in the end. Let's see, now right now I'm not even going to really open up the UV editor. I'm just going to go project from view. Where is project from view? And that should be about enough. Let's see. We're going to add shader, mix shader, input, UV map, and let's see, diffuse, plug this in. And these I can just get rid of, and I'm going to plug this directly into vector. You can see everything got all pink, and that's because there's no picture in here for it to actually think about. So if I put in 303, and you can see that 303 is all over the place. I'm just going to plug the alpha into here, And then when I hit decal, it is, you can see that the 3 is everywhere. It's like all over the turret. If I go into UV editing, however, so I'm just going to go grab and move this off center, and then press A, and I just want to make sure over here, yep, decal is selected. That is very important, because if you had the other one selected and you moved it, you might screw up your entire map. And then I'm just going to move this to the center and scale up. And there, you've got 3803. Now it looks a little bit funny projected, so I probably hit it wrong. So what I'm going to do is just project from view again. Actually, hang on. I have everything selected, so it's going to screw up. And you can see right here, it is projecting through there. So I'm just going to go shading and change this to clip, and that solved it. So that's if you wanted to add something like a decal to the side of like this big tank that has come up, you know, lots and lots and lots of extra details on it. But one of the nice things about this is it will add a very crisp image, where if you see this one on this side, I wanted it to look a bit fuzzy, so I didn't really care, because if you see a lot of like military typeface, it is not the prettiest. But this is a texture that is directly on it, and this is, I think, a 2K texture, but it will start to look fuzzy if you get close to it. This is like a spray paint image, so I didn't really care. I kind of wanted to look fuzzy. But like if you wanted to make it look very crystal clear, where the clearest is, as you get closer, it just looks sharper and sharper. Now you might not always want that, but this is kind of a case where you can use that. So I don't want to save. And then there's another way of using these images as well that I wanted to show. So this is my Mad Max looking car. It was very much intended to look very Mad Maxy. And let's see here. So I'm opening up another free program I use a lot called Fast Stone. It's just a really quick and easy program to use for editing images, but you can use anything really. It doesn't really matter. Tutorial. So I got this image from, this is the Immortan Joe symbol from Mad Max, and what I want to do is invert it, and then let's see, take the saturation all the way down, and the contrast, I don't think it really matters. There we go. So what we wanted, I wanted this black, let me see, is that total black? Alright, I think that's total black now. So I just want to save over this, and there's a very special reason why you want to do something like that. Let's say there's kind of another way on how you can do a decal or a texture in Blender. So if we go over to shading, and I'm just going to slide this over and add the UV editor right here. And then we're going to do the same thing we did on the tank. This one, it looks like I've used the name V8. I don't know why. But we're just going to add a new one, decal. And then when I select on the door, you've got this, I've already got a setup here. This thing, it's got a displacement map on it, I guess. And I don't really need those as much anymore, but okie dokie. And gonna add mix shader, input, diffuse. Input UV map. I press nope, that's the interior door. I want the exterior body. So this is all. Is that UV? So this is all of the door image right here on both sides. And actually this can work. Let's see, I don't think... If I was working on this, you know, as it was a project open, I would probably have all this dead center to start with. But since this is just kind of going tutorial-wise. I think I put it on the wrong material. Yeah, I put it in the wrong place. Let's see, not to worry. Just because I am lazy, I'm just going to take all of these. Just Control X. And go to the exterior vehicle. Right, it doesn't like me to do that, so crap. So it looks like Control X and Control P doesn't work right like that way, but oh well. Input. Shader, diffuse, and you'll see it's already working. It's just not in the right spot. Input UV map. And then, no, I don't, to keep it simple, I'm just going to move everything off center, turn clip on, and then let's see, I believe these are selectable, so I can actually just select both doors by the seams. This is also a cool reason why to use seams sometimes, is I'll just make seams on things just so you can select them easier. And project from view. And so one of the things that is nice about, so what I just did that is different on this one is you'll notice I don't have to have an alpha connector. And that is because when I made the image for the Immortan Joe, it is completely black and white, which means that you can actually add this on. And I believe, let's see, how do you do this? There should be a way, I think you can change the color of it. Input. Not sure if this will work. No, I don't think it'll work because I know there's a way to do it where you can actually make the white value and change that to a different color, but I'm not great with that, so usually I just make them the color I want when I add them. Though I suppose, can I add another mix shader? Can we add the alpha as the factor? No. I know there's a way to do it, but I forget what you're supposed to do. I mostly just like making my textures in a separate program and just applying them. Nope. Anyway, this is just kind of one of the reasons why sometimes using a alpha that is masked with a black on it can be a good idea, because you can add like a symbol to the side. You don't need the alpha on there, and that can kind of come in because most of this is all done that way. It's just, instead of having to use an alpha plugin, kind of gives you a little bit of versatility. The other thing you could do with this, if you felt like it, let's see. If I unhook this displacement over here and add in math. Where's the math node? Go to multiply. I believe this should work. I haven't done these in a long while because I've completely changed how I did things. No, it is not doing it. Usually there should be a way on how to actually use this. Let's see if I plug it into the normal. Nope, it did not like that at all. Anyway, there is a way to make this look a little bit more raised, but I forget how you do it. The other times, if I wanted to do this as well, is this is another character where one of the kind of a gimmick of this character is that they have a band shirt that changes throughout the series, and in that case I have kind of a special texture just for that. So this is her regular texture for the shirt, and then you've got these, which is a little bit of transparency. That's so that the shirt actually kind of is see-through-y when basically they have a light set up behind there. But this right here is called band logo. And it's just a really quick setup where I can plug in whatever band shirt that I want to have in there, and it will just be... Oh, by the way, there's how you change the color. Shit. I completely screwed that one up. But yeah, I guess so if you don't plug this into the color and just leave that color alone, you can change the logo to whatever color you want. Oops. Let's see, is this, okay, so there's the band logo, I think, in question. That might be why it shows up like that without needing the, without needing an alpha plugin. So, like, will it work with this? So this one I would need to redo the where it would sit up. So right here, this is what the band logo spot looks like, is right here. Just gonna get rid of these, whatever they are. Move them off to the side. And then let's see here. There we go. Scale Y, and that will actually stretch it out the other way because this only works on the X and the Y and not Z, but I always kind of think it's Z. But anyway, there you can have a different shirt on, change the shirt, change the logo really quick. Could also be good for, like, if you wanted to add if you wanted to change things, see how they'll look, or if you wanted to change pretty much all of the writing and whatever in something. Anyway, hope this is helpful. Probably went into it a little bit too much, but that is my bag. I go into stuff too much. Alright, have a good one. Bye.